Take a close look at the coins you have lying around before you ignore them. In my hand are 4 old wheat pennies that seem completely ordinary at first glance. Most people would see nothing more than a few worn 1-cent coins, but hidden among coins just like these are 4 incredible wheat pennies that collectors dream of finding. These rare pieces have brought surprising prices at major auctions and continue to attract attention from serious coin hunters across the country. What makes this even more exciting is that these valuable pennies can still appear in everyday collections. Some people unknowingly spend them, toss them into change jars, or leave them forgotten in old drawers without realizing they could be worth far more than 1 cent. Before you spend another wheat penny, take a few minutes to check your wallet, your coin jar, or any old family collection. A quick search today could uncover something truly special. Many collectors quietly search for these rare wheat pennies every year, and finding one is becoming harder as time goes on. If you already own one of these coins in its original condition, you may have something that many collectors have been trying to track down for years. If that happens, be sure to reach out using the contact information listed in the description or the comments below. You could be holding a coin that has become one of the most desirable wheat pennies in the United States without even knowing it. Don't leave before the video is over, because each coin we cover becomes rarer, more valuable, and more surprising than the one before it. And the final wheat penny on today's list has a story that could completely change the way you look at every old penny you find. Imagine buying a snack at a small store. The cashier hands you a few pennies with your change, and without giving them a second thought, you drop them into your pocket. Later that day, those coins end up in a piggy bank, an old box, or between the cushions of your couch. Every single day, valuable coins disappear this way because almost nobody stops to look. One coin that often goes unnoticed is the 1957 wheat penny. At first glance, it seems like nothing more than an old 1-cent coin. It doesn't have the bright shine of silver or the rich glow of gold. Most pieces have turned brown over the years, and many show dark spots from decades of use. To the average person, it looks worn out and worthless, but experienced collectors know that appearances can be misleading. Some of the most desired coins look completely ordinary. That's why you should never rush to spend a 1957 wheat penny before taking a closer look. There's one important reason this coin attracts so much attention, and once you understand its background, you'll see why collectors never ignore it. The year 1957 came during a time when America was growing at an incredible pace. New neighborhoods were being built, businesses were expanding, and people relied on cash for almost every purchase. Because pennies were needed everywhere, the United States Mint had to produce enormous numbers of 1-cent coins to keep up with demand. The presses worked almost non-stop, and billions of pennies entered circulation. While most were eventually worn down, damaged, or lost, every surviving 1957 wheat penny remains a small reminder of that exciting period in American history. Now examine the front of the coin. It features the well-known portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by designer Victor David Brenner. Across the top, you'll see the words "In God We Trust." The word "Liberty" appears on the left, while the date 1957 is placed on the right beside a small D mint mark, showing that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Turn it over, and you'll find the famous reverse design with 2 wheat stalks surrounding the center. Between them are the inscriptions "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent. This classic design became one of the most recognizable coins in American history and remains a favorite among collectors today. The 1957 wheat penny was made from 95% copper, with the remaining 5% made up of tin and zinc. When these coins were brand new, they displayed a rich reddish color, but time changed their appearance. Many examples slowly turned brown or developed darker areas from natural oxidation. While beginners may think those colors are a problem, many collectors actually prefer untouched surfaces because they show the coin has aged naturally instead of being cleaned. The coin weighs about 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters across, and is roughly 1.52 millimeters thick. Even though it's small, it carries decades of history in the palm of your hand. Another reason collectors study this penny so carefully is the huge production workload at the Denver Mint. With machines running constantly, the coin dies gradually wore down over time, creating small differences from one coin to another. Collectors often inspect Lincoln's hair, the lettering, and the wheat ears under magnification, searching for stronger strikes and better detail. Dark spots found on old copper coins are usually the result of natural agging rather than mint mistakes, and many experts appreciate that original look. One rule is more important than any other: never clean the coin. Cleaning removes its natural surface, leaves tiny scratches, and can greatly reduce its value in the eyes of collectors. Although billions of 1957 wheat pennies were produced, far fewer remain in attractive condition today. Many were heavily used, damaged, misplaced, or simply worn almost smooth after years of circulation. Every year, more high-quality examples are placed into private collections where they may stay for decades. As the supply of well-preserved coins becomes smaller, competition among collectors continues to grow. When an outstanding original piece appears at auction, bidding can become surprisingly intense because serious buyers understand how difficult it is to replace. Picture finding a 1957 wheat penny with sharp lettering, clear wheat lines, attractive original color, and no signs of harsh cleaning. That's exactly the type of coin collectors hope to discover. Every small detail matters. Is the mint mark clear? Does Lincoln's portrait still show strong features? Are the wheat stalks fully visible? Is the surface original? Questions like these play a major role in determining collector interest. Professional grading is often recommended because it gives buyers confidence that the coin is genuine and accurately evaluated. According to the scenario for this video, an outstanding original 1957 wheat penny in fine condition has reached an incredible auction value of around $180,000. While results like this are extremely rare and should never be expected for ordinary circulated coins, they show why knowledgeable collectors examine every wheat penny they come across. A simple 1-cent coin can sometimes become far more valuable than anyone expects under the right conditions. Before you spend another old penny, remember 3 important tips. Always check the date and mint mark. Never clean the coin because its original surface is part of its history. And if you believe you've found an unusually well-preserved example, consider having it professionally graded before selling it. A little patience can make a huge difference in coin collecting. But don't go anywhere yet, because the next wheat penny is even harder to find, even more mysterious, and has surprised collectors in ways few people could imagine. The next coin takes this story to a whole new level. Let's move on to coin number 2. Have you ever found an old wheat penny that looked dark, dirty, and completely worn out, then tossed it aside without another thought? If so, you're not alone. Thousands of people do the same thing every day, and some of them may be throwing away a coin that collectors would gladly keep. The truth is, not every valuable coin has a bright shine. In fact, some of the most interesting wheat pennies look old, faded, and forgotten after spending decades in circulation. That's exactly why the 1947 wheat penny is so easy to miss. At first glance, it doesn't seem special at all. Many examples are deep brown or nearly black, with years of dirt, tunning, and wear covering the surface. Most people see nothing but an old penny, but experienced collectors know better. They understand that an untouched coin with its original appearance can sometimes be far more desirable than one that looks freshly polished. So before you spend this coin, make sure you know what you're holding. One small detail makes this penny especially interesting, and once you know its history, you'll understand why collectors continue searching for it. The story begins in 1947, just a short time after World War II. America was entering a period of rapid growth. Factories returned to making everyday products, businesses expanded, and families were building a new future. As the economy grew stronger, people used more cash than ever before, creating a huge demand for 1-cent coins. To meet that need, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of wheat pennies. Unlike other mints, Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on these coins, making the missing mint mark an important feature rather than a mistake. Take a careful look at the front of the coin. You'll see Abraham Lincoln's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. Across the top are the words "In God We Trust." The word liberty appears to Lincoln's left, while the date 1947 is found on the right. Look beneath the date and you'll notice something important. There is no mint mark. That confirms the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over and you'll see the famous wheat penny reverse. Two wheat stalks surround the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum displayed above. Even today, this classic design remains one of the most recognized and loved coin designs in American history. Like other wheat pennies of its time, the 1947 issue was made from 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. When freshly minted, these coins had a bright red copper color, but decades of handling and exposure caused many to turn brown or nearly black. Some developed dark spots or heavy tunning that make them appear unattractive to people unfamiliar with old copper coins. However, collectors often appreciate those original surfaces because they show the coin has not been cleaned or altered. This penny weighs about 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and is approximately 1.52 millimeters thick. Every mark and every change in color tells part of its long journey through history. Collectors also pay close attention to how well these coins were struck. During 1947, the Philadelphia Mint worked under heavy production demands, and coin dies slowly wore down over time. Because of this, some pennies show sharper details than others. Experts carefully examine Lincoln's hair, his jawline, the lettering, and the wheat stalks to judge strike quality. A naturally aged coin with strong details is often more appealing than one that has been polished to look shiny. That's why one rule should never be ignored: never clean this coin. Cleaning removes its original surface, leaves tiny scratches, and can reduce its collector value forever. Although millions of 1947 wheat pennies were made, only a small number remain in attractive original condition today. Many were heavily worn, damaged, lost, or thrown away after decades of everyday use. Others have been cleaned over the years, making untouched examples even harder to find. As a result, collectors compete for coins that still display natural color, strong detail, and honest signs of age. At auctions, experienced buyers often wait patiently for the right example before placing serious bids, knowing that another similar coin may not appear for a long time. Now imagine discovering a 1947 wheat penny with no mint mark, clear lettering, visible wheat lines, and beautiful original tunning that has never been cleaned. That's exactly the kind of coin collectors hope to find. Every feature matters, from the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait to the condition of the reverse design. Even old dirt and dark tunning can be considered a positive if they prove the surfaces are completely original. Professional grading becomes very important because it confirms authenticity and helps determine the coin's true condition. According to the scenario for this video, an exceptional 1947 wheat penny with no mint mark in fine condition has reached an incredible auction value of approximately $240,000. While prices like this are extremely uncommon and should never be expected for ordinary circulated examples, they remind collectors why every old wheat penny deserves a careful inspection. Sometimes the coin everyone ignores becomes the one everyone wishes they had saved. If you ever come across a 1947 wheat penny, don't rush to spend it. First, confirm the date and check that there is no mint mark below it. Next, leave the surface exactly as you found it, even if it appears dark or dirty. Store it safely to prevent additional wear, and if you believe you've found an unusually well-preserved example, consider having it professionally graded before selling it. Preserving originality is almost always the smartest choice. You've now seen why this ordinary-looking 1947 wheat penny has become a favorite among serious collectors. But the final coin in today's countdown is even more elusive, even more valuable, and far more surprising. It's the kind of wheat penny that collectors spend years hopping to discover, and the story behind it may completely change the way you look at every penny you find. Now we've reached the third coin. Before you toss another old grey penny into your change jar, take a second look. That dull little coin covered with rust, dirt, and years of corrosion might seem completely worthless. Many people mistake it for a game token, a damaged foreign coin, or just a ruined penny. But sometimes, that forgotten piece is actually a 1943 steel wheat penny. Even in heavily circulated condition, with severe rust and environmental damage, this wartime coin still attracts attention because of the incredible story behind it. Never spend this coin until you know exactly what it is. This final penny proves that looks can be very misleading. Unlike shiny collectible coins locked away in collections, many surviving 1943 steel pennies spent decades in pockets, cash registers, toolboxes, and damp storage areas. Years of exposure left many with heavy rust, rough surfaces, dark stains, and deep corrosion. To most people, they appear beyond saving. Yet collectors understand that even damaged wartime steel cents represent an important chapter in American history, making them worth a closer inspection before being ignored. The story of the 1943 steel wheat penny begins during World War II, when copper became too valuable to use for everyday coins. The metal was urgently needed for ammunition, military equipment, communication systems, and countless supplies supporting the war effort. To help conserve copper, the United States Mint made an extraordinary decision. For 1 year only, Lincoln cents were struck from zinc-coated steel instead of their usual bronze alloy. That single change created one of the most famous and recognizable pennies ever produced. Every surviving steel cent tells the story of a nation making sacrifices during a time of war. Now examine the front of the coin. You'll find Abraham Lincoln's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. Across the top are the words "In God We Trust." Liberty appears to the left of Lincoln, while the date 1943 is shown on the right. Just below the date is a small D, identifying the coin as a product of the Denver Mint. Turn the coin over and you'll see the familiar wheat penny reverse. 2 wheat stalks surround the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum displayed above. Even when the surfaces are dark and heavily worn, this classic design remains easy to recognize. Unlike ordinary wheat pennies made from copper, this coin was struck from low-carbon steel coated with zinc. That gave it a bright silver-gray appearance when it first left the mint. It weighs approximately 2.7 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters across, and is about 1.52 millimeters thick. Unfortunately, steel reacts very differently from copper. Once the protective zinc coating wore away, moisture reached the steel underneath, causing rust, corrosion, and rough surfaces. That's why many heavily circulated examples now appear dark brown, reddish, or almost black instead of silver. Severe environmental corrosion is common on coins that spent years buried, stored in damp places, or exposed to the elements. Collectors know the difference between natural wartime aging and damage caused by improper cleaning or harsh treatment. While severe rust lowers collector value compared with high-grade examples, many people are surprised to learn that even heavily circulated steel cents still have historical importance. The biggest mistake anyone can make is trying to polish away the rust or scrub the coin clean. Never clean this penny. Cleaning can remove the remaining zinc coating, leave permanent scratches, and destroy the original surfaces that collectors expect to see. Once that originality is gone, it can never be brought back. The Denver Mint operated under enormous pressure throughout 1943, producing millions of steel cents while the country focused on the war. Because the coining equipment was used continuously, strike quality sometimes varied from one coin to another. Collectors carefully study Lincoln's hair, the lettering, the mint mark, and the wheat stalks, even on heavily circulated coins. If important details remain visible beneath the rust and corrosion, the coin becomes much more interesting than its appearance might suggest. Although millions of 1943 steel pennies were made, many failed to survive. Steel proved far less durable than bronze, and countless coins rusted away, bent, corroded beyond recognition, or were simply thrown out because people disliked their unusual gray color. Others disappeared into old buildings, barns, tool sheds, and forgotten collections. Every surviving example, even one showing heavy circulation and environmental damage, serves as a reminder of this unique one-year experiment in American coinage. Imagine finding a heavily circulated 1943 steel wheat penny with severe rust, old environmental corrosion, but still showing a readable date, a visible Denver Mint mark, and enough detail to identify it clearly. Collectors will first check whether the coin is genuine, then examine how much of the original design remains. They look at Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat ears, and the remaining surface beneath the corrosion. Professional authentication becomes especially important because steel cents are widely collected, and confirming authenticity gives buyers confidence before making any purchase. According to the scenario for this video, an exceptional 1943D steel wheat penny has reached an auction value of approximately $275,000 under the right circumstances. Prices at that level are extremely rare and should never be expected for ordinary heavily circulated or rust-damaged examples. However, remarkable auction results like these explain why collectors still inspect every 1943 steel cent they encounter. Even a worn wartime penny deserves a careful look before it is dismissed. If you ever discover a steel-colored wheat penny, don't assume it's worthless because of the rust or corrosion. First, check that the date reads 1943, then look for the small D mint mark beneath the date. Avoid cleaning or polishing the surfaces, no matter how rough they appear. Store the coin somewhere dry to prevent additional corrosion, and if you believe it could be an important example, consider professional authentication before selling it. Even a heavily circulated survivor carries a story that cannot be replaced. So the next time you empty your pockets or sort through an old coin jar, remember this remarkable wartime penny. Its rust, dirt, and worn appearance may hide decades of history that most people overlook. That's why serious collectors always stop to check every 1943D steel wheat penny they find. Sometimes the most forgotten coin in the jar has the most unforgettable story. We've finally reached the last coin in today's countdown, and this one may surprise you more than any of the others. By now you've seen how ordinary-looking wheat pennies can hide remarkable stories, but the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with *no mint mark proves that even a heavily circulated coin covered in black carbon staining and rim damage should never be dismissed too quickly. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than an old penny that has spent decades being passed from one hand to another. The dark surface, dirty edges, and worn details make many people believe it belongs in the trash. That's exactly why valuable discoveries are still made today. Before you spend a coin like this, take a closer look, because this final wheat penny reminds us that history often survives in the roughest condition. The story of the 1944 wheat penny begins at the end of World War II, when the United States was still focused on supporting the war effort while preparing for a brighter future. Just 1 year earlier, the mint had produced steel cents to save copper for military needs. But in 1944, copper returned to the 1-cent coin, using recycled metal recovered from spent wartime shell casings. Every 1944 wheat penny became more than everyday money. It also became a quiet symbol of America's recovery and determination. Millions of these coins entered circulation, buying groceries, paying bus fares, and passing through countless hands before eventually finding their way into old jars, forgotten drawers, and family collections. This particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which means there is no mint mark beneath the date. That missing mint mark isn't an error at all. During that time, Philadelphia simply did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents. When collectors examine one of these pennies, they immediately check the date and confirm that the space below it is blank. That small detail identifies where the coin was made and separates it from examples struck at Denver or San Francisco. Looking across the front, you'll recognize Abraham Lincoln's portrait created by Victor David Brenner, a design that has become one of the most familiar images in American coinage. Above Lincoln appear the words "In God We Trust," while Liberty sits to the left and the date 1944 appears on the right. Turning the coin over reveals the famous wheat penny reverse, where 2 wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum displayed across the top. Even after decades of circulation, this design continues to remind collectors of an era that has become one of the most studied periods in American numismatic history. Unlike the steel cents of 1943, the 1944 wheat penny returned to its traditional bronze composition of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. When new, these coins displayed a bright reddish color, but time rarely leaves copper untouched. Years of handling, exposure to moisture, storage in old containers, and contact with other materials often transformed many surviving examples into dark brown or nearly black coins. Heavy carbon staining became common on pieces that spent decades in circulation, while dirty rim damage developed as coins repeatedly struck hard surfaces or rubbed against other objects. Although these conditions reduce collector value compared with high-grade examples, they also tell the story of a coin that truly served its purpose for generations. Holding one of these worn pennies is like holding a small witness to history. It weighs about 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and is approximately 1.52 millimeters thick. Despite its small size, it has survived more than 80 years of daily life. Every scratch, every worn letter, every black stain, and every damaged section of the rim reflects a lifetime of circulation that few modern coins will ever experience. Collectors often spend far more time studying these coins than most people would imagine. Instead of focusing only on color, they examine the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the visibility of the date, the strength of the lettering, and the remaining detail in the wheat stalks. Even on a heavily circulated example, clear design elements can make a noticeable difference. The black carbon staining may look unattractive to beginners, but experienced collectors understand that natural agging is very different from artificial cleaning or chemical treatment. That's why one important rule always remains the same: never clean the coin. Scrubbing away dark surfaces or polishing the metal can permanently remove its original character and leave behind damage that cannot be reversed. As the years passed, millions of 1944 wheat pennies disappeared. Some were lost forever, others became badly worn, and countless examples were cleaned by people who believed they were improving them. Today, truly original coins, even those showing honest circulation, are becoming harder to find because collectors continue removing the best survivors from circulation. Every untouched example represents another small piece of American history preserved for future generations. Imagine opening an old family coin jar and discovering a heavily circulated 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny with no mint mark, deep black carbon staining, dirty rim damage, but still displaying a readable date and recognizable design. Most people would overlook it immediately. A knowledgeable collector, however, would slow down, inspect every detail, and determine whether the surfaces remain original. Authentication and professional grading become valuable steps whenever a coin appears unusual or historically significant, because expert evaluation provides confidence for both collectors and buyers. According to the scenario for this video, an exceptional original 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny with no mint mark has achieved an astonishing auction value of approximately $310,000 under the right conditions. Results like this are extraordinarily rare and should never be expected for ordinary heavily circulated examples with carbon staining or rim damage. Even so, remarkable sales like these explain why collectors never ignore an old wheat penny simply because it looks worn or dirty. Sometimes the greatest discoveries begin with the coin everyone else walks past. As this countdown comes to an end, remember the lesson shared by every coin we've explored today. Never judge an old wheat penny by its appearance alone. Always check the date, confirm the mint mark or the absence of one, leave the original surfaces untouched, and store the coins safely until you understand exactly what you have. Hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. More often, they wait quietly inside forgotten jars and old collections, hoping that someone curious enough will stop, take a closer look, and recognize the history resting in the palm of their hand.